Yo, what's up, Sunnydale squad? If you're jumping into Buffy the Vampire Slayer for the first time, or gearing up for that rumored 2026 revival, one thing probably hits you right away. These vampires are weird as hell compared to every other show or movie out there. They don't sparkle. They don't brood in a sexy castle for eternity. And when you stake them, poof, instant dust pile. But then you see flashbacks with the same vamp looking totally alive and kicking centuries ago. How does that even work? That's the crazy hook that keeps pulling people back into the Buffyverse vampire lore. Today we're going full deep dive mode on Buffy Vampires Explained, breaking down the rules, bulls, the myths, and teases stuff that makes this mythology stand out. No fluff, just straight facts mixed with the wild emotional punches the show loves to throw. First off, forget everything you know from Dracula books or Twilight. In Buffy, becoming a vampire isn't some romantic infection or a curse that slowly twists you. It's straight up body snatching by a demon. Here's how it goes down, step by brutal step. A vamp drains you almost dry. Like 90-95% of your blood gone. You're on the edge, heart barely pumping, brain shutting off. Right before you flatline, the vamp forces you to drink their blood. Doesn't have to be gallons, just enough to kickstart the magic. You die for real, heart stops, soul checks out, lights go dark. That's the trigger. A specific ancient demon, not named, just called the demon, in lore talks, gets pulled into your empty shell. It hijacks the corpse, keeps your face, your voice, your memories, even some personality quirks so it can blend in and hunt better. Important AF. The original you? Gone. Dead. The thing that climbs out of the grave hours, or sometimes a day, later isn't your friend, your lover, your kid. It's a predator wearing their skin like a perfect Halloween costume. That's why Giles drops the line early on. The corpse gets infected with a demon soul via the vamp blood. No conscience, pure instinct to feed, kill, survive. But it keeps the memories on purpose. That's the camouflage. Jesse still crushes on Cordelia after he's turned. Willow Vamp in the Wishverse still has that sarcastic edge. Spike still writes terrible poetry, bless his heart. The demon doesn't reinvent the wheel. It just drives the car it stole. Crazy part? The siring isn't always instant success. If the body gets burned, beheaded, or messed up bad before the demon fully settles in, no vamp. And the wait time varies. Some rise quick, others take longer. Newbies are usually sloppy and easy pickings for Buffy. This setup creates the big moral gut punch of the show. When Buffy stakes a vamp that used to be someone's brother or girlfriend, she's not killing a corrupted human. She's destroying a monster that's been puppeteering the corpse. But it still feels personal because the face is the same. That's the foundation. Everything else, weaknesses, Hellmouth boost, soul curses, builds on top of this demon possession core. The demon inside, plus how souls actually work in the Buffyverse. Alright, so we already covered the siring process. That brutal moment where a human dies and a demon hijacks the body like it's renting an Airbnb. Now let's get to the creepiest, most mind-bending part of the whole Buffy vampire lore explained. What the hell is actually driving the show once that vamp wakes up? It's not the person anymore. Full stop. The demon that moves in is this ancient, nameless predator thing that's been around forever in the Buffyverse. It doesn't have its own personality or memories. It just grabs everything from the dead human and uses it like a perfect disguise. That's why vamps can still talk like their old selves, crack the same jokes, have the same crushes, hold grudges from high school. The demon is basically cosplaying as the dead person 24/7, so it can hunt more efficiently. Think about it. Angela still has that cocky Irish charm. Darla keeps her classy, sarcastic vibe even after centuries. Spike keeps writing awful poetry and obsessing over romance novels. None of that comes from the demon. It's all leftover code from the human that died. The demon just presses play on the personality file and lets it run while it focuses on the real mission. Feed, kill, survive, repeat. That's the big tragedy at the core of every vampire in the show. When Buffy stakes one, she's not killing a twisted version of someone's friend. She's dusting a monster that's been wearing their face like a mask. But because the face, the voice, the little habits are still there, It feels personal, every single time. Now flip the script. What happens when you shove the original soul back in? That's the soul restoration curse, the big game changer. The Romani curse on Angel forces the human soul, Liam's soul, the guy he used to be, back into the body. But here's the key. The demon doesn't leave. It gets trapped in there with the soul. 2 drivers, 1 car. Total nightmare. Angel spends over a century torturing himself with guilt because he suddenly remembers and feels every single murder, every rape, every act of cruelty Angelus committed. The demon is still hungry, still horny for violence, but now there's this screaming human conscience in the passenger seat yelling, "What the hell did you do?" 24/7. That's why Angel is so broody. It's not an act. It's eternal psychological warfare inside his own skull. Spike gets his soul back later, season 6-7 arc, but his version is different. He actively seeks it out as punishment or redemption after what he did to Buffy. Once the soul returns, he's wrecked. Hallucinations, self-harm, the works. But unlike Angel, Spike eventually makes peace with it. He channels the guilt into protecting people instead of just wallowing. The soul doesn't fix the vampire. It punishes the demon by forcing it to feel human remorse. The bloodlust never goes away. The strength, the speed, the immortality, all still there. Only now there's a moral compass bolted onto a killing machine. That's why soul-having vamps are so rare and so messed up. Most demons would rather dust than deal with that kind of internal torture. Weaknesses, crosses, sun, stakes, holy water, and all that classic stuff. Alright, so we've got the siring process and the demon inside thing locked down. Now let's talk about what actually takes these vamps out, because Buffy wouldn't be Buffy without her signature stake through the heart move, and all the holy gear that makes vamps hiss like angry cats. First up, sunlight. No rings, no magic amulets, no shady umbrella. Direct sunlight hits a vampire and it's over in seconds. They don't just burn slowly like in some other shows. They literally combust and turn to dust. It's brutal and fast. That's why Angel and Spike are always running around at night or hiding in sewers during the day. The sun is their #1 natural enemy. No debate. Next, stakes. Any pointy wooden object through the heart equals all instant dust. Doesn't have to be fancy oak or blessed ash. A broken chair leg works just fine. The show never really explains the exact science, but the idea is that the stake disrupts the demon's hold on the body so violently that the whole thing collapses into ash. That's also why decapitation kills them instantly. No head, no demon control. Crosses and holy symbols. This one trips a lot of people up because it's not just crosses hurt vampires because they're evil. In Buffy, it's more about faith and intent. A cross burns because it represents something the demon can't stand. Human belief, goodness, the opposite of what it is. So a cross held by someone who actually believes it's sacred burns like crazy. A cross just sitting on a table or worn by someone who doesn't care might sting a little, but nothing major. That's why some vamps can walk into churches if the place is abandoned or the faith has faded. Holy water. Same logic. It's like acid to them. Splash it on their face, they scream and the skin melts. Drink it, they're toast from the inside out. Again, it only works if the water was actually blessed by someone with real faith. Tap water in a bottle labeled holy won't do squat. Garlic, almost useless. It's more of a running joke in the show. Vamps can walk through garlic fields or eat garlic bread without blinking. It's old folklore, though. That doesn't really apply here. Fire burns them, but slowly. They feel every second of it, and it takes a lot to reduce them to dust. That's why flamethrowers are scary, but not instant kill like sunlight. Other stuff. They can't enter a home unless invited. Classic rule still holds strong. They don't reflect in mirrors. Another old school touch. And while they're super strong, fast, and heal quickly, they're not invincible. A well-placed punch from Buffy can still knock them flat. The coolest part? All these weaknesses tie back to the demon possession idea. The demon hates symbols of human goodness, can't stand sunlight, maybe because it's pure life energy, and gets disrupted when the heart, the center of the body, gets pierced. It's consistent, even when it feels old school. Hellmouth vibes plus soul restoration cases. Angel and Spike, deep dive. Okay fam, now that we've covered how vamps get made, what's really inside them, and what kills them, let's talk about the place that turned Sunnydale into Vampire Central, the Hellmouth. The Hellmouth isn't just some random hole in the ground, it's a literal mouth to hell, a dimensional weak spot where the barrier between our world and demon dimensions is super thin. Think of it like a leaky pipe. All kinds of nasty energy, demons, and supernatural juice keep seeping through. Sunnydale sits right on top of one, the biggest one, apparently, which is why it's basically a 24/7 monster buffet. That's no coincidence. The town was literally built over it. The high school? Built directly above the Hellmouth. The library? Used to be the seal that kept it closed until it got busted open in Season 2. Every big bad season finale usually involves someone trying to open or use the Hellmouth. What does that mean for vampires specifically? More vamps get sired in Sunnydale than anywhere else because the demonic energy is stronger. Vamps feel stronger, faster, and more aggressive near the Hellmouth. It's like they're plugged into a power outlet. When the Hellmouth gets fully activated, like in Prophecy Girl or Chosen, portals open, demons pour out, and the vamp population basically explodes. It also makes resurrection magic way easier. That's how Darla gets brought back in Season 2. Wolfram and Hart used Hellmouth energy to juice up the ritual. Bottom line, the Hellmouth isn't just scenery. It's the reason Sunnydale has a vampire problem that never ends. It's why Buffy was sent there. It's why the Slayer line is tied to that exact spot. Without the Hellmouth, Sunnydale would just be another boring California suburb. Now let's zoom in on the two biggest soul-having vamps in the show, Angel and Spike. Angel, originally Liam, turned in 1753 by Darla, gets his soul back in 1898 via a Romani curse. The curse is meant as punishment. Make him feel every horrible thing Angelus ever did. And it works too well. He spends decades in guilt trip hell, trying to starve himself, living off rats, until Whistler finds him in the 90s and gives him purpose. Help Buffy. Angel with a soul is still a vampire, still needs blood, still has the strength, still burns in sunlight. But now he has a conscience that won't shut up. Every time he feeds, even from animals, he feels sick. Every memory of murder hits like a fresh wound. That's why he's so isolated and broody. He's literally the only vampire in history who hates being a vampire more than anyone else hates him being one. Spike, originally William the Bloody, turned in 1880 by Drusilla, gets his soul in Season 7 after going through the trials in Africa. Unlike Angel, Spike chooses to get it back because he wants to be worthy of Buffy. When the soul returns, he loses it mentally for a while, burns crosses into his chest, talks to himself, sees hallucinations of the people he killed. But once he stabilizes, he becomes the most human vamp in the show. He fights for good not because he's cursed, but because he wants to. That's the big difference. Angel is tortured by his soul. Spike is redeemed by his. Both prove the same thing. A soul doesn't erase the demon. It just forces it to share the body with a screaming conscience. And that internal war? That's what makes them the most tragic and coolest characters in the entire series. Flashbacks, resurrections, inconsistencies that actually make sense. So us final thoughts. Alright, Sunnydale crew, we've covered the siring, the demon takeover, the weaknesses, the Hellmouth boost, and the soul drama with Angel and Spike. Now let's tackle the stuff that makes new fans go, wait, what? Flashbacks, resurrections, and those moments that look like plot holes at first glance, but actually fit the lore perfectly once you understand the rules. First, flashbacks. You see Angelus in 1753 Ireland, Spike in 1880, London, Darla in the 1600s, all looking and acting exactly like their vampire selves, centuries later. How? Because when the demon moves in, it gets 100% access to every single memory the human had. It's not time travel or magic flashbacks. It's the demon literally replaying the dead person's mental recordings. So when Spike tells Buffy about killing his first Slayer in China during the Boxer Rebellion, he's not lying or exaggerating. He remembers every detail perfectly, because the human William's brain stored it all before he died. The demon just pulls up the file and watches it like old home videos. That's also why vamps can talk about events from hundreds of years ago with perfect clarity. No fuzzy memory loss like a normal human would have. The demon keeps the hard drive clean and intact forever. Next, resurrections. Darla is the poster child for this. She gets dusted in Season 1. Able Season 1. Then Wolfram and Hart brings her back human in Season 2 using some insane dark magic and a little Hellmouth juice, probably. Later she gets turned again by Drusilla. So can vamps come back from dust? Almost never. Dust means the demon got kicked out hard. Usually no coming back without god-level intervention. Darla's case was a 1 in a million ritual that required massive power and a still relatively intact soul connection. Most of the time when you see dust on the floor, that vamp is gone for good. Now, the inconsistencies people love to argue about online. Why can vamps enter true rise sometimes? Faith matters. Empty church. No act of belief. No burn. Priest with real faith holding a cross. Instant barbecue. Why doesn't garlic do anything? It's just old human superstition that never worked on these demons. The show leans into that. Vamps even mock it. How can Spike walk in daylight with a ring, but Angel can't without one? Both can with the gem of Amara or similar magic. The ring Spike had was a special artifact. Angel just never got one until later. Plots needed it. All these plot holes disappear once you remember the core rule. Everything revolves around demon possession, plus human memories, plus demonic aversion to faith and sunlight. The show stays freakishly consistent if you look at it that way. So what's the big takeaway after 7 seasons of dusting vamps? Being a vampire in the Buffyverse isn't cool immortality. It's a horror show inside one body. You die, a monster steals your face, wears your life like a suit, and keeps every memory so it can hurt the people you loved, even more efficiently. And if someone somehow shoves your soul back in, you get to spend eternity feeling every single thing that monster did with your hands. That's dark. That's tragic. That's what makes Buffy's vampires some of the most heartbreaking monsters on TV. So hey guys, which part of this Buffy vampire lore explained caught you the most off guard? Do you think Angel will ever get some peace? Or is that demon inside him never really gonna leave? Drop it in the comments below. Smash that subscribe button for more deep dives into the Buffyverse, especially with that 2026 revival coming. Give this a like if it helped you finally understand Sunnydale's vamps, and let me know. What other lore do you want us to break down next? See you in the next one, and watch out tonight. Don't invite the wrong person inside your house, alright?